The newest Super Mario Bros. Wonder has come out, and it's pretty good, I must say. It's been about a decade since the last original 2D Mario game. No, I'm not counting Super Mario Deluxe or whatever. Let's be honest, that's still New Super Mario Bros. U, only that it's been ported onto the Switch. You could say when the trailers first came out for everyone to see, Super Mario Bros. Wonder had a lot of things to bring forward. When you open up this game, you're introduced to a handful of characters to pick from. You no longer are limited to 4 characters. Now you can play to up to 12 different characters. Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, the Toads. Hell, you can even play as bloody Yoshi now in this game. Do the characters play any different? Yes and no. You see, other than Yoshi and Nabbit, all the rest of the characters play pretty identical. Is it a bad thing? I wouldn't say it's the worst thing, but it's a little unfortunate. Yoshi and Nabbit are great characters for newcomers. You pick them and you can get by levels without taking any damage. That is, unless you fall. It's not so much of a bother as you don't have to play as them. In fact, you can switch throughout the game which characters to play as. The characters have become skins at this point rather than characters where you can strategize on how to finish levels. Actually, it would be a pretty cool concept to add that element of certain levels working best with certain characters. However, I guess that's where we have power-ups to come into play. Mario games have always introduced us to new power-ups to mix things up, and Super Mario Bros. Wonder is no different. Of course, you have a couple returning power-ups such as the Mushroom, Fire Flower, and a Star. However, this game introduces the new Elephant Suit. At first, this looked like a bit of a gimmick power-up, a power-up that serves little purpose throughout the entire game. Looking at the first previews, it almost looked like a, "Hey, look at me, I'm an elephant!" While I do think it's a silly power-up, I'm honestly not even bothered by it. It's got its uses throughout the games and allows you to do puzzles that perhaps you wouldn't be able to do as well or do in general without the help of the elephant suit. It's silly, but I'm glad Nintendo was risky with this idea. We as well have the new Bubble Flower. It's not a bad power-up, but it's got a couple uses. The main use I found to the Bubble Flower is you're able to trap enemies inside a bubble, and you can use the bubble sometimes as like a platform to jump on. It's an okay power-up. It's not something I'd get overly hyped about, but it's also not something that's going to make me lose sleep. Lastly, we've got the Drill Mushroom. This one is a power-up I actually like. It protects you from falling enemies and you're able to navigate around the levels, whether if it's drilling through the roof, drilling under the ground, or even just drilling downwards. Speaking of which, Super Mario Bros. Wonder has amazing world building for a 2D Mario game. I think this is one of the most vibrant Mario games out there. Everything is colorful and this game has an identity, something of which you can't really have said about previous 2D Mario games where they felt quite flat in this area. Super Mario Bros. Wonder has also introduced a Donkey Kong Country concept where the characters move further in the background rather than always being focused on the foreground. It's nothing new if you've played Donkey Kong Country before, but it's nice to see Nintendo bring this over into 2D Mario games. The worlds in this game look amazing for the most part. It isn't just the same generic world themes in the same order. Yes, there will be moments where the world themes do repeat, but there's always a change to the levels around the corner the more you play this game. What also helps to continue to make these levels fresh is the introduction of new enemies. Of course, you've got returning enemies too, but these new enemies are as well great to have. A few of them are funny to have around, but most of the times they fit in within the world themes. While on the topic of enemies, one of the downsides to this game is the bosses. I want to talk about the bosses in this game. When I heard this game was going to introduce new enemies, I was thinking that perhaps we would see new bosses be introduced. What we got was remixed versions of New Super Mario Bros. Bosses. Only instead of the Koopalings, we got Bowser Jr., and it's for the majority of the worlds throughout this entire game. For me, it's a little bit disappointing. We've seen Nintendo add different bosses in Mario 2D games, so it's not like Nintendo are forced to stick to a theme of enemies. New Super Mario Bros. DS is the best example, and this is a game that came out nearly 2 decades ago. Bowser Jr. appeared in this game, yes, but we weren't always fighting him. Here, we were introduced to different enemies as boss battles, and that's the reason to why the original New Super Mario Bros. Is still loved. We not only saw a change in the world of 2D Mario games, but we also got introduced to new boss battles that were unique and quite sadly still remain unique compared to other 2D Mario games. I feel like Super Mario Bros. Wonder is in the same boat where it's trying to start this new era of 2D Mario games, and that's great, and it did well in that. However, the bosses here fall quite flat, and that was a missed potential here. There's a lot of stuff to talk about with Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I haven't even talked about the Wonder stages, the music, the more in-depth analysis of the level designs, the multiplayer. There's quite a lot to talk on. However, this is only a quickie, and I'll keep it brief. Maybe I'll make a Thunder reviews on this game, you never know. In conclusion, This game is great, and I'm giving this game an 8.5 out of 10.